If you thought that players were dropping 50-point games at an alarming rate this season, well, you weren't wrong. Because Jimmy Butler became the 8th guy to do it this year, tying the NBA record for most different players to score 50 points in a regular season game during a regular season. And we're only halfway through the regular season. So there's going to be more, I would safely assume. Here's your list, by the way. Oh, it includes Isaiah effing Thomas, who, after we did the Isaiah Thomas is a superstar clip, I got lots of tweets saying, no, he's not. He's great. You drop 52 in a game. You continue to defy expectations. You sign Al Horford, and you're still the best player on the court. You're a superstar. And guess what? So is Jimmy Butler, James Harden, DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook.
There's a couple of specific instances that stand out to me that deserve maybe just even more so credit than anyone else, because I think Klay Thompson, out of them all, is not surprising, but some of these individuals are given the ball more so than anyone else. Like Anthony Davis, you're going to get the rock to him no matter what. Russell Westbrook, if you don't give it to him, there's a problem. You're probably not going to play again. He gets the ball. Jimmy Butler, very similar. I know there's other options in there. But Klay Thompson, he's competing for the rock with Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, other players on the team. So that was so impressive to me that he was continuing. It was the consistency that he was shooting in order to get to that point where it was a remarkable scoring spree. Now, that doesn't take away from everyone else. Just because you get the ball more often doesn't mean that's the work is done for you. You still have to put it in that basket, that thing, so you put it in with the net around it.
Right, the object.
The basket.
No, I agree. Klay Thompson, it was like they did the math on it, right? In like sports science, it's like Klay Thompson touched the ball like for like 13 seconds the whole game or something. Obviously, it was more than that. He took like 13 total dribbles. It was all catch and shoot, which was amazing to think about that. Rolling off screens and everything that he does to score 60 and whatever it was, 29. He scored it in a ridiculously little amount of time. But what's so interesting about all these 50-point games is, again, there's still the argument that so many people keep telling me about how like regular season basketball there's nothing to watch for. Well, yeah, people scoring 50-point games is always something to watch for. Besides how rare it was that there was more no-hitters in baseball than 50-point games as of 3-4 years ago, and no-hitters are extremely rare to begin with. So, first of all, that's a list of 8 guys, but that doesn't include the more likely characters that could drop 50. Kevin Durant, at any point. LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, did it twice in 2015, I think it was. Yeah, he had, what was it? We're at 57 points versus the Spurs, including the game-tying 3 to send it in overtime. That was 2 months after he did 55 in January. And then my favorite, there's 19 active players who have scored 50 points in a game, including Darren Williams on the Nets when he did it against the Bobcats. Well, Carmelo Anthony, who did it against the Bobcats before they went back to being the Hornets. Jamal Crawford, who I'm pretty sure also did it against the Bobcats.
Well, there's a trend here.
Mo Williams, who did it versus the Pacers.
Oh, good luck.
But like Mo, I mean, Amari Stoudemire, Paul Pierce is one of those guys, but Paul Pierce ain't scoring 50 anymore, so you cross him off the list. Brandon Jennings is not good at basketball. I refuse to believe that anybody really thinks that. He's a good passer, Jason. Tony Parker did it, which was really surprising. Steph Curry could do it. Damian Lillard could do it. LeBron James could do it. I think we're going to see about 12 guys finish total this year with 50-point games. I do think, out of that list, I think Kyrie has a good shot at going off. And I'm never going to count out that random shooting guard like a Contavious Caldwell-Pope for the Detroit Pistons, completely out of nowhere, maybe explodes.
DeMar DeRozan's a good bet.
DeMar DeRozan might, it's actually surprising DeMar DeRozan hasn't done it on his like ridiculous 30-point streak.
This is a testament to why I disagree with the likes of Charles Barkley at times, where Charles Barkley I know is controversial.
It's like the worst it's ever been?
Yeah, it's the worst it's ever been.
It's one of the most moronic statements he's ever made.
Exactly, and it's why, because it's not like the way he played it, right? Where people, let's be honest, they weren't scoring as much, they weren't taking as much shots, and defensive capabilities were a lot more prominent because you could do a lot more things. You could get in people's faces, it was a lot more contact. Right. But now, it's so quantifiable. If you're a point guard and you're not shooting a ridiculous amount from the field, then you're going to lose yourself in amidst the pack. Yeah, there's exceptions. Chris Paul is more still pass first, and he's still great at doing it. But the more we see more point guards coming forward and more players being versatile, you have to be able to score at a ridiculous rate in order to compete. When you have a team formed of 4 to 5 ridiculous scorers in the Western Conference who are going to take some beating, then you need to be able to score at a miraculous rate. And that's why I enjoy watching it, because the points are only going to get further. The games are going to extend further. I mean, if you look at the average from now and back 10, 15 years ago when Charles Barkley was stating it was better, which I don't agree with, games now are just a higher average. You're getting high-scoring games. Whatever way you look at it, the game is based around scoring buckets. That's what I like.
I mean, it's like this goes for anything. Tell me what game that finished in any sport. Let it be in sports that don't have as many points as, let's say, basketball. Crowd across all sports, right? In world football, the World Cup game that finishes 4-3 is probably more exciting than the game that finishes 1-0.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Let's talk about the NFL. The 6-3 Seahawks-Rams game is probably a lot less exciting than the 52-49 USC versus Penn State Rose Bowl game. Right? And I get it. When it comes to those like one-off playoff games, usually there's a lot more on the line, so a higher scoring game, if it means winning a championship, they won't talk about, well, the defense didn't show up that day. But during a regular season game, if you give up 145 points, holy God.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the Warriors, I think, are averaging like 182 points a game. An exaggeration once again. No, I did the clip not long ago. Charles Barkley's statement that the NBA is the worst it's ever been, when there's been more teams who have won a championship in this decade and more teams that won a championship in the 2000s, more variety of teams compared to that of the 80s and 90s, simply goes to show that no, I mean, and to his point, yeah, there's only 2 or 3 teams who can win it this year. That doesn't mean there's not going to be competitive basketball to get you to that point.
Yeah, of course.
And all we want is competitive basketball. 7-game series for the
and
Raptors
the ability
and
to
Cavs.
breathe.
Seriously, I'm dying.